Guys, it's Epic Underworlds, and in today's video, I'm going to be playing Micro Chapbook RPG. Now, I know there's a ton of other rule sets and supplements for this game, but I am going to be playing this edition. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can check this out. So this is the edition of the game that I started with. I'll be doing videos on those editions in the future and my playthroughs of them, but today we're going to be starting off with the OG, so let's get right into the video. So what you need to play the game is the rulebook. You also need 2 dice, a pencil with a good eraser, a character sheet. Now there's one in the back that you can take a picture of, but I just made my own. Then you'll need some graph paper and also some more paper just to keep notes on. Alright, so first I'm going to create a character. Now, I already drew a little art for him. His name's Gregor, and he lost his son somewhere in these dungeons, so that's kind of what compels him to explore these. So here's all your stats. You have your name, your race, your class, strength, dexterity, wisdom, charisma, willpower, health, gold, and then your proficiency, your damage, and then your 2 weapons, armor, and items. So the first thing you gotta do is choose which stats you want to divide your stat points in, and you get 7 starting stat points, and you can divide these no less than 1 and no more than 4 just to start out. So to start out, I gave my guy Gregor 3 strength, 1 dexterity, 1 wisdom, and 2 charisma. Next, you have to choose a class. I think I am going to be choosing a fighter because I want to be proficient in strength. And being proficient basically means instead of rolling 1 dice and trying to beat your stat score, you get to roll 2 and choose the better one. For my race, I am choosing a dwarf because my wits/wisdom is pretty low, so I'm going to add that +1. So I'm going to be a dwarf. So now I have to determine my health. My health is my strength plus my dexterity plus 20. So my strength is 3, my dexterity is 1, so my total health will be 24. My willpower is my wisdom and my charisma plus 20. So the same thing, it's going to be 24. For gold, you start with 2d6 gold. So let me roll my 2d6 and see how much gold I get. I get 7 gold pieces, so that's not bad. I can now spend this gold in the starting weapons shop. If you can see, some weapons have a little asterisk on that. That basically means breakthrough, and whenever you are attacking a creature and you have excess damage left, you can deal that damage to another creature. Some weapons may say they have 1d3 damage. That basically means you roll a 6-sided dice, have that, and round up. So a 5 would basically be a 3. For my starting weapon, I'm going to be choosing a great axe because it has a good amount of damage, basically a 6-sided dice +1, and it has breakthrough on it. If you're wondering what your damage bonus is, this is basically a number that'll increase as you level up and get other loot. So let's say I would roll like a 4 and then plus my 1, so that would be a 5. If I have a damage bonus, I could add whatever more damage that I have in the damage bonus to do to that attack. Now, it's probably good to have a ranged weapon and a melee weapon because if you have a melee and a range, you can do basically 2 different attacks in 1 turn. But I don't have enough coins to get a ranged weapon too, so I am just going to go to the armor. There are some other rules like dual wielding and quick shot, but we're not going to be getting into that yet. Then there are special rules like there's spells and there's a special item for bards. I chose to be a fighter though, so I can basically skip all that. Okay, so now we're at the armor. I have 2 gold pieces left, so I think I am going to be getting some chainmail armor because it adds +6 to my total will. Okay, so instead of having to rewrite all this stuff when I'm in combat, this will be my will, this will be my health, this will be how many coins I have, and if there's like a room which gives me like a +1 or -1, I have this little token counter here to keep track of that. So I'm going to be playing the first scenario. This one is called Skeleton Cavern. So here's the little background. Recent whispers in a town speak of a treacherous cavern nearby which explorers must pass through the mouth of the grinning skull to enter. Lately, a string of grave robberies has upset the town's population. The rumor is that a wicked necromancer has taken up residence inside the cave and is completing strange experiments in the dark recesses therein. You have been called upon to investigate the Skeleton Cavern. So to generate a room, you just roll 2d6 and that's how many squares it takes up. You can only really use ranged weapons if the room is 4 squares or larger. And of course, you can draw them in any style you want. Then you have to generate the number of doors. You basically roll 1d6, take the number in half, and round up. So this would just be a 1. But let's say I had a 4, then it would be a 2. So we are going to basically generate the entrance, and in the entrance no monsters can spawn. So our entrance is 8 spaces long. Now you guys should keep in mind there's also kind of a starting village, though in between adventures you can visit these villages and get items. So to generate a room, you basically just have to roll what type of room it is, then you have to roll which doorway it is, and then you can start rolling up monsters. So the first room is 9 squares long, and it has 2 doors. Now we basically just roll for what type of room it is. Roll the 2, so it's a muddy room. This room is muddy and difficult to walk through. +1 on all dexterity rolls. So whenever I roll dexterity for checks, it basically adds a +1, which is not good because we want to roll really low numbers. A 1 is always a success, and you basically want to roll this number or lower on your stat block when checking stats. So this is where you would want that kind of second notebook just so you can keep track of what's in the room. So this is my room. It's muddy, and technically we don't have to roll for the door yet because we didn't open any doors, but we will have to do that later. So now we are going to summon the monsters. You basically keep summoning monsters until you have summoned at least one of each one. Then once you do that, you can fight the boss, which Romancer in this case. And each of these monsters has a brief description which you guys can read and get more flavor into your game. So first I'm going to roll for which type of monster. I rolled a 5, so in that case I get a skeleton warrior, and now I have to roll for how many of that monster I get in my room. I rolled a 5, but the max is 3, so right off the bat we are fighting 3 skeleton warriors. Each of them has 10 life, and only one of them can attack me per combat rotation, and the player almost always attacks first. By the way, I just found a little character miniature, so this is officially Gregor. Combat is broken down into 3 steps. First, there is the bravery step, which basically, you have to test your bravery against going into these dungeons and fighting these monsters. So I am going to be rolling a 1d6 because I'm not proficient in my charisma. My charisma is a 2, so I need a 1 or a 2 to pass. If I fail, I basically take however many will damage that this monster has. I rolled a 5, so I failed. So I take 1d6 will damage. I took 2, so my will goes from 30 to 28. You might be wondering what happens when you run out of will. Well, when that happens, you basically add +1 to all your rolls, which really sucks. Now that the bravery step is over, we go into the ranged combat. I don't have a ranged weapon, so I don't even have to do that. I'm pretty sure this step is also for spells, so in case you want to use a spell instead of doing a ranged attack, you can do that. But I choose to be a fighter, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now we go straight to the strength melee test. If I want to be able to attack this, well, it doesn't matter which skeleton war I'm attacking, they're all the same. I am going to be needing a 3 or lower. But I'm proficient, so I get to roll 2 dice instead of 1. Both of them succeed, so I don't know, I guess I'll just choose this one. So I automatically success, and that monster will not attack me, so I can just do my damage. If you were to fail, the monster would basically just do its damage at you. So my Great Axe does a 1d6 plus 1 damage. So let's see how much damage I do to the first skeleton. I do a total of 5 damage. So now the skeleton, the first one, only has 5 life left. Right? And then we repeat the steps. So I'm going to do another charisma check. And I failed yet again. So I take 1d6 willpower. So I take a total of 6 damage. So that really sucks for my will. Okay, so now we go straight into combat again. I'm going to be rolling my strength. And I succeeded again, so let's do 1d6 plus 1 damage. I got 2, so that's 3 damage total. All right, and now we're going to do another bravery check. Yes, I finally succeeded. So if you succeed, you get +1 will. Right now we're going straight to combat again, and I succeeded again, so let's roll another battle axe dice. I only did 2 damage, but that is just enough to kill one of the skeleton warriors, so let's move on to the next. And I'm going to be time-lapsing me fighting this, just so this can go by a little quickly. Alright, well this is a good moment to stop because I did not roll a success for my combat, so now I take 1d6 damage from the skeleton, and I took 4 damage, so I'm now down to 20 life. And this was a moment I ended up rolling a 6, and the guy only has 4 life left, so I ended up doing an extra 2 damage to this guy, just because I have that little asterisk breakthrough ability on my Great Axe. Alright, I have now defeated all the skeletons, so now I can collect loot from only one of them. So to do this, I basically roll a 6-sided dice. If it's a 1 through 5, I basically get that many gold pieces, and if it's a 6, then I'm pretty sure I get to roll on the treasure table. So I rolled a 3, so I get 3 whole gold pieces from this. So now this goes from 0. Alright, so now that room is cleared, I'm going to try to go through this door, and I have to roll on the doors. So I rolled a 5, so that means I have an unlocked door and don't have to do anything. But if I would have rolled like a 1 or 2, for example, it may be a trapped or a locked, or I might even be stuck, so I would have to do some other rolls for that. But it's unlocked, so I can just go right into the next room and roll to see how big the room is, right? It's 8 squares big, so let's draw that in. Now I'm going to see how many doors there are, and there are 2. Now I'm going to roll to see what type of room we get. I rolled a 5, so I get a crypt. This room is a crypt, which seems to have an oppressive power on the mind. +1 to all wisdom checks. So that kind of sucks, but I don't really use wisdom that much, so it's not that big of a deal. Alright, now I'm going to see what monster I get. I rolled a 4, so I get a skeleton archer. Let's see how many of them I get. Oh no, I got 6, so the max I can have is 4, so I get 4 whole skeleton archers. Alright, well first I'm going to check my bravery, so let's roll the dice. I got a 1, so that basically means that I get +1 willpower. Now I'm going to attack them with my proficient combat, and I rolled a 3, so that is a success. So now I can roll 1d6 plus 1, so I got 2, so one of them is down from 7 to 5. Alright guys, I just ran out of will, so that means basically +1 on every roll. So now I'm down to my attack. Alright, well that means +1, so none of these are hits, so they get to do damage to me. So that's going to be 3 whopping damage, because half rounded up +1. So now I'm already down to 9. Guys, 9 health left and no willpower. Yeah, that was this edition of the Micro Chapbook RPG rule set. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll leave a link in the description to the creator of this if you guys want to go check out his YouTube channel. So yeah, bye.